Am I super quiet?
You gotta get in there.
I know.
Get in there.
Get in there, Ash.
I love sharing a mic.
Yeah.
One day maybe we'll splurge and get my own.
We can put you in the bathroom or something. We'll have her in like a production booth.
This sounds like kind of like, you know how they have those ASMR videos on YouTube or whatever?
Yeah.
Just like,
I need to figure out how to exploit Ash somehow. You know?
I'm just going to talk softly like this. And then I'm going to crunch some bubble wrap and...
Eat chips.
Yeah.
Funny.
We should just have her read obituaries or something, like in ASMR. You know?
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
That's so demented.
Randall Peterson, age 87.
Died peacefully in his sleep.
You know there's plenty of fucked up people who would like that.
Oh my god, I'm sure. Yeah, I would not want to know that thing had a comment section or something. I would not want to read it.
Because I can't sleep. You know, I'm a psychopath,
Yeah.
I can't sleep at night. So I thought, you know, I would try to find like things on Spotify and things on YouTube and stuff like that to try to fall asleep and listen to stories and stuff. But Ash found like bedtime stories that she can listen to. Didn't you find that stuff, like bedtime stories?
Yeah.
What are they called?
They're just like nighttime meditation or like bedtime stories, and they kind of just, they're quiet and they're like Hansel and Gretel or
their
like,
plot sucks.
yeah.
Well,
You know what I mean?
isn't that the point? Are they
Yeah.
supposed to
No,
kind of
exactly.
like be like nothing much happens or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You overthink it.
I know, but like,
Gotta let it happen.
Yeah,
Well, there you
Dave
go.
needs to know how the little bear gets to the farm or whatever the story is. And
Yeah, I'm totally cool.
they're
with
always
not
fairy
knowing it.
tales. They were like,
Yeah.
and then the princess.
Yeah, they are whispering it the whole
oh
time.
man, yeah.
It's
There's
been so long since we listened to that.
there's something there's like some app. What the fuck is it called? I forgot what it is, but like, you know how there's a bunch of like meditation apps now and everything like that. There's one like, have you noticed? Like, I feel like they not all the time, but most of the time they like to have like some sort of not just British voice actor, but like it's got to be some really specific dialect, like kind of Cockney or something like that. Like, but yeah, like this
That's funny.
yeah, the guided meditation thing. It's almost the same thing. Like like they had a free one, so I only used the free stuff. But
Yeah, these.
it like I was thinking when I was listening to it, like this isn't really helping me meditate, but it could totally put me to sleep. So.
Yeah, these are. It's the app I was using now. It's called Calm.
Yeah,
Oh,
no free ads.
yeah.
No free ads.
Yeah, because Calm.
Oh, free ads. Well, we're not gonna put this in there.
Yeah, it's on there. We're live.
Oh, we're not
Are we
talking
doing this,
about
or
it
we-
yet.
Yeah, this is the podcast.
We're in it now. So this is a new
this
thing.
is it right
no
now.
intro. We're
No intro.
going
this is
into
the podcast.
Okay. Our
We've been
life
having the
is
podcast. We've been done having a podcast.
This is like Ed TV Truman Show. Like this, we're just making it real, making it raw.
Real and raw.
Yeah,
Just like Netflix's Lock and Key.
it's the most realest and most rawest thing I've ever seen. It's
I felt raw
yeah,
after watching Netflix
yeah,
take a chainsaw to my
yeah.
beloved comic.
I mean,
But,
I'm super interested to hear why you guys have the gripes that you do.
My God.
here we go.
Okay, so just you know, I don't know if people, this is your first time listening or anything like that, but just so people know, like the way, like Dave and I usually split is like I think, and you know, tell me if I'm wrong, but usually it's like you don't like something and I try to defend it or whatever, and this time is not going to be anything like that. Fuck this show so hard. I fucking hated this show so much, and mostly because it's just like I'm grateful we're doing this review because you know, it introduced me to the source material. Like I had heard of the comic for many years and heard it was really good, but it really is a fantastic comic. And then to go so quickly from reading that comic and just watching the pile of shit they turned it into, it's like I want, you know, like in Jackie Brown when Samuel L. Jackson is killing Robert De Niro and he's like, "What happened to you, man?"
Spoiler warning. Spoiler alert,
for a movie that's like 20
well, it's been out for
old.
94 or something, right? 95. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Proceed.
But like you know how he's like, "What happened to you, man? You used to be beautiful." And that's what I was thinking when I was watching this. It was like, how the fuck did this happen? It's does such a disservice to an awesome comic.
Yeah, no, I agree. I thought Netflix would have a little bit more fucking balls, I guess. I was like, what is this, Riverdale? I've never seen Riverdale, but I was like, is this on Fox Family?
It does. Yeah. It does remind me of Riverdale, which I have seen.
Which Ash has seen, so that plays for her.
Yeah.
But yeah, is this on Freeform?
Yeah,
it
totally felt like Fox Family or ABC Family or some sort of shit. Disney Channel even. You Disney,
know? Yeah. I mean, is this Xenon, the princess of... what the fuck? What was that show? Remember that? Princess? No, that was Xena.
Oh, excuse me.
No, remember, what was that show, Xenon? The girl Xenon from Stars?
Beyond the Stars? I'm not that well acquainted
Space Xenon girl.
I don't know, man. I'm sorry. I
you
don't follow the Wiggles. I haven't kept up with...
Hold on. I'm just...
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Xenon?
Nope.
Are
you sure you didn't dream this?
Nope.
Or hallucinate?
It's a real thing.
Okay.
Xenon. There you go.
Yeah.
Xenon Z3. Xenon
I mean,
Z-Quil.
it's from 2001 and 2004, but
yeah,
I don't think I was watching.
You guys
Disney
like my Disney Channel references from the early aughts?
See, kids, I'm hip too.
Yeah.
In high school, I believe Disney Channel was not quite one of the top watched for me.
Yeah.
Disney Channel wasn't one of your top watched
in
things?
High school?
Really?
Like, anything after 2001, I look at, I'm like, I don't remember.
What were you watching?
I don't know. Nothing. I don't know.
Nothing.
Actually, she does have a point. In a weird way, I feel like culturally, it's less looked down upon to be watching Disney Channel now in your 30s than it was to be watching it 20 years ago when we were in high school.
High school, wasn't that more like TRL and MTV?
Yeah.
When did we watch? I don't remember when I watched.
I mean, Volpe and I were watching Audition and shit.
Japanese
horror and manga and Akira and shit.
You're a bit of the exception.
Well, there you go. Yeah. You know what I mean? Wow. We were watching demented Italian horror and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely preferred that.
Well,
any shows that are after 2001, I don't recall.
Yeah.
After 2001?
On Disney Channel, I don't remember them.
Okay, all right. Let's get back on track.
Yeah,
the show's terrible.
No.
Well, okay. Ash is gonna try to defend it.
Well, Ash actually can give us like an objective opinion too, because she's
kind of our control subject.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, so let's get into the weeds here. So just a full disclosure, I started reading. I had the first 2 volumes of the books. I think I bought them. I think I was living in Colorado. I bought the first 2 volumes in 2016, 2015 or 16. Mm-hmm. I read the first one, and I loved it. And then I started reading the second one, and I don't know. I fell out of it, or just never got back to it. I have a million. I mean, I have so much shit. Ash can attest to this. I buy 3 volumes. I read 1. Right. They all go on my shelf. I have a shelf full of books that I've never read. She's looking at it right now and shaking her head.
That's what books are for. Books are to be looked at and to
or the
feel
2
guilty.
giant stacks of issues that are bagged and boarded.
They're holding our I mean, I can't even tell you guys how much stuff I own that I've just not even gotten to yet. Anyway, so it was just one of my, I love Image Comics, some of the smaller publishers. I love those guys, and really enjoyed it. Had a great kind of like horror vibe. Loved it. And then, heard rumblings, they're gonna make the show. And I remember it was in like production hell, and they got rid of different showrunners, and they got rid of different people. And I was like, I gotta pick it up again. I gotta get into it. I gotta try to catch up on the series before the show comes out. And so we were trying to finish up and kind of read as we were watching the show. So I had read some. And was watching the show and trying to read the rest of the series kind of simultaneously, which really screwed me up.
Oh, yeah.
Ash watched the entire series before starting any reading, right?
I started the first volume like halfway through But I didn't finish it until we were finished with watching the whole series.
Yeah, and then you tried to read everything before watching the show.
I basically, I think I hit a point where I was like, I need to start watching the show because time is running short. Yeah. But I think I got through like at least the first 3 volumes before I started watching the show, and I think in total I got up to through the first issue of the 5th part. But yeah, like it actually, watching the show made me want to keep. Like, I hit a point when we were watching the show because it started to feel like work after a while. Where I was like, I'm just gonna read the comic instead tonight because I can't do another 3 hours of this shit for another consecutive day.
We were just binging it out of like pain,
Yeah.
I liked it though.
Well,
so there's elements, and we can get into it. But
if you're not attached to it, it's like the Clone Wars, right? It's like our episode. What is it? 5? What is it? Episode 2? Star Wars.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like standalone, you're watching a Star Wars movie. You know what I mean? But like,
yeah.
It's just
in context, it's
in context, you're like, ugh.
Yeah. Well, it's just like, you can. It's so obvious somebody gave the order that this is for fucking middle schoolers or something.
Right.
There cannot be any blood or gore or really adult themes or anything like that. And the thing is, it's like, yeah, I agree. Maybe if it was just like, I think that was the debate I was having in my head a lot of the time when I was watching it, because there's a lot of times I was like giving the show like 10% of my attention. Like, normally I'm totally invested, and as a rule of thumb, like I really try to like thoroughly watch everything, and I'm not good at multitasking and watching a show or anything like that. But with this one, I was like fucking doing tax returns or something, it's so. It felt like there was so much like unnecessary padding that I had a lot of time to think about it, and I was just like, I was wondering if I was just being old and bitter and jaded, and was like, okay, if I was a kid, would I like this show, or if I was just taking it on its own? And then I don't know, did you guys ever watch the pilot for the original show?
No, I never got to it, man.
God.
I never got to it,
so after this recording, I highly suggest you guys watch it, because all the problems I had with the show, this pilot, I'm not even saying it's a perfect pilot, but it did it totally right. It like the thing.
Can you tell the thousands of viewers and listeners at home where to find it?
Somewhere on Reddit.
just go on that Reddit.
Just Google Reddit, and then Fox 2011 Lock and Key pilot. And so even before the show, like this property has a very storied production history, which was, the comic was an instant hit. People are trying to option it very quickly. In 2010, Fox went into production of this show and did a pilot with it. The director was Mark Romanek, who directed 1 Hour Photo. He famously directed like a bunch of big music videos in the 90s, including a lot of like Kurt Cobain stuff and everything like that. And he did this pilot like that. He was like one of the first people really trying to push to get it made. And this pilot, it was great. Like, I was amazed because even though it was almost 10 years ago and on network television, it was so much darker and so much better acted than this show, and the tonal difference was amazing. Even like little things, like there were so many little details in this Netflix show that I had an issue with that this pilot did right, including like the thing that stood out to me was when Bodhi turns into a ghost and he's flying around. Like, in the Netflix show, I fucking hated the way they did it.
You don't like his Devon Sawa Casper looking ass.
He totally looks like he's like Uncanny Valley. It made me think of the Polar Express and all those.
Oh yeah, no, I was like, where have I seen this? 2003.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, I'm like, the thing I was trying to figure out while they were doing that was, I was like having a hard time. Like, did they just put the kid in front of a green screen and then lower the opacity to do the effect? Or, which would make more sense, but it seems like they almost like did a body scan of him, and like the character seemed kind of CG-ish, which made no sense because there was nothing creative about the way they did it. Like, it's just, a kid like, it always gets me whenever your ghost in a movie has your clothes. Like, why would you have that or whatever? And
what do you want? Just be naked?
Well, no. Well, so that's the thing is, if you see this pilot, the way they did it is you're more ethereal. It's like you see the outline of a form, but it's more just like kind of floating gas and mist and shit. And so that was the thing. It was when I was watching the show, I was like, on the Netflix show, I was like, man, maybe I'm just being a curmudgeon. Like, I guess it's working for the story. What else would they do? And then I saw this other pilot, and I was like, oh, boom, that is exactly what I wanted. So anyway, so they did this pilot that didn't get picked up, and then, they were trying to do a movie trilogy apparently in 2014, and that didn't work out. And then they were originally trying to do this pilot for Hulu that Andrew Muschietti, the guy that did It, was directing. And so I don't know, like, I was able to find this Fox pilot, but I was trying to figure out, is there a Hulu pilot existing somewhere out there? And, there's no... I don't know if they filmed it or not or anything. And then so we finally had this Netflix show, but this Netflix show felt like a Hulu pilot. Like how Hulu's shows are. Okay,
oh no! It was like, am I watching The Runaways or something?
Yeah.
This looks horrible. Isn't Netflix full like richer than richer than astronauts, as Homer would say? You know what I mean?
No, I totally.
Like, Jesus.
And Netflix tends to push we're edgier vibe
right.
more
I was like,
often.
this is the next Stranger Things. I'm like, Netflix fucking made Stranger Things.
Exactly.
And Stranger Things is edgier than this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is not the next Stranger Things. I don't even know what this is.
Yeah, that's the thing.
This isn't the next anything.
The thing that made Stranger Things cool is how edgy it was. And then other people were comparing it to Haunting of Hill House, and I was like, no, those are totally different vibes.
No.
Like, this is like... And it's funny because I was like trying to look at other people's reviews on YouTube, and some people are like, I was worried about this show at first, and I was relieved that they pulled it off. And I just like, I could not disagree more. Like, and it all felt very like everything felt very much like it's shot on a set. Like, I really hated, like, probably one of the hardest things that would be.
It's the same set that they shot the freaking
The Good Place.
No, not the. Oh, I don't know about that. Ash would have
like
to.
That show
but
too.
I felt like I was
I
watching.
like The Good Place, but you don't want, like, The Good Place is like a totally different tone than this show was going for. I
felt like I'm. It's the fucking Umbrella Academy house.
Oh no! Yeah, totally.
I bet it's the same fucking house.
Yeah, this show, like, in terms of comic adaptations, like, this show makes Umbrella Academy look like fucking 2001 or something. But it had so much of the same. It's like the issues that were plaguing Umbrella Academy, like, it's like they tripled down on it. Like it's just going out of your way to make it bad. It's
weird because I was like, why did they steered into the weirdness of Umbrella Academy a little bit?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, well,
and then this one, they just not at all.
Well, so this show too, the thing that was interesting is, like, towards the end, it gets a little bit more interesting. Like, I found myself engaged in the last... engaged is being generous, but, like, I was a little bit more interested in the last 2 or 3 episodes. Like, when the fucking shadow monsters start attacking, I think that's kind of fun, and it makes sense as a climax. And, like, I thought some of the action set pieces were a little bit better filmed, and then it turned out that's because... I think Vincenzo Natali directed the last 2 episodes, and he's the guy that directed Cube and what was it, Splice, and In the Tall Grass recently. Like,
I never got to see that yet.
Oh, see, In the Tall Grass is great, and it's funny because this guy Vincenzo Natali, who's like a huge Stephen King fan, and I think has been adapting stuff for him for a while. And I kind of wonder if the Lock and Key show, like, I bet you Stephen King, when he was having that run last year or 2 of properties adapted of his by Netflix, including this In the Tall Grass show, like, I wonder if part of the deal was, like, he was like, okay, you can adapt all these properties of mine, but also adapt my son's show. And the chick in the Tall Grass, in the movie In the Tall Grass, is the bad guy, is Dodge in this.
Dodge or...
And she was actually pretty good in the Tall Grass, and in this, I think she's totally miscast, and I think that's kind of the almost across the board, almost everyone is miscast. That's like a huge problem.
I mean, let's get right to it with little Georgie, right? Little Georgie, Bodie.
Bodie is Georgie.
That's Georgie, right?
I had no idea, but yeah.
I mean, that's
totally
why.
right.
That's look. I mean, it's him, right?
Yeah. I think you're right. Oh, but
we'll float too. You'll float too. That's little Georgie, right?
Yeah.
See that,
now
but
that you say that,
man, that's the thing is like he felt like he was like a Mikey, like a cereal commercial kid, and his delivery, like once again, seriously, go watch this Fox pilot after that, because the scene where Bodie,
is he dumber, better? Like, how was he better in the pilot?
He's not.
I hated the Netflix Bodie.
Yeah, I hate the Netflix Bodie a lot, I don't think the kid in the Fox pilot is that much better, but it's how they filmed them. Like the scene where Bodhi in the Netflix version is talking to the woman in the well. In the Netflix one, you could, like, it killed me because like when they would show shots of Bodhi like looking down the well, like it felt tonally so off, and I felt like I could tell like somebody's just reading the lines of the scary chick in the well. Like his expression and emotions didn't really feel like they matched the scene and everything.
Right.
And yeah, I just felt like all of he's not a bad actor, but he's too much of a TV commercial kid, and the way that they were playing him, just like it made me start to, he annoyed me after a while. And
Right. Yeah, because he plays a little bit too smart in the show, and it ruins the belief that he could mistake a voice for an echo, the childlike wonder and the innocence of a dumb child. And he's comic Bodhi, he's too old. Like comic Bodhi, where he's kind of saying, "I found a key and it turns you into a ghost, and I left my," like, you go, "Okay, buddy, great, okay, go get your jammy jams on." Like, I mean, that's the comic Bodhi. He's like a little tiny little kid. You know what I mean? And then the Netflix was like, "Hey, let's go find like a little smart alecky little shithead kid."
He's a little too old. He's man, like honestly, the one that really got me the casting wise, that I think really almost is like explains the problem with this adaptation in general, is the
Jamal.
Oh well, he's pretty terrible, but the mom.
Oh yeah,
just the way they did her character, it's like they stripped away all the interesting stuff from her. It's like they're like, "Oh, nah, we're gonna drop the alcoholism thing," until the last 2 or 3 episodes. Like, you notice how all that shit, there's so much stuff from the comics that suddenly comes out of nowhere in the show in the last like 3 episodes.
Right. Yeah.
And I think this Vincenzo Natali, sure. I bet you he was probably like, "Oh, what the fuck are you guys doing? Let me try to save this." And it was like a valiant effort, but too little too late. Like things like
try to pull a JJ on us, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like things like Kenzie kind of wanting to date both boys at once. Like she's got that little love triangle that's more prominent in the book. Like the Shadow King stuff. Even Dodge also being Dodge. Dodge and what's his name, Lucas, the sex change stuff, like that, that's totally absent from the show for like the first 80% of it, and then the character suddenly shows up. It just felt
the book is so much smarter about how it just gives you little tastes of hints of how like where
doling out the information.
No, of just like, a character is looking at an old photo, and you have to read the captions of the photo to see who's in these photos, and the way the eyes are drawn of this character are the same as this character, and you start to pull it together, and like, it's just, the show just, it can't do the same sort of fuckery, if you will, because it's so horrible. It's like, well, we found a guy that sort of looks like a girl, but not really. Like we found kind of too dark, handsome and beautiful. Like it doesn't work.
Yeah, it really doesn't.
You know what I mean?
There's such a disconnect. I feel like, honestly, if they found you found one person to play both of those roles, I would have respected the show more. Or like find twins, like find somebody
that would have been
is
great.
like genetically related or so, and also like they don't have to be big actors or whatever, like literally find someone and that's the thing, is that character is so important. If you kind of fail on that character, then the whole thing, like, in the comic, Dodge kind of like is always kind of the source of tension, like the way he weasels his way into the friend group and manipulates people and seems to like, the great thing about the comics is the kids are still kids, so they're easily manipulated. And I haven't finished the comic, but the whole time it almost always seems like Dodge is winning. Like, he keeps on gathering more and more keys and almost always seems to get them at the end of every comic. So and in this show it's like, there's so many scenes that felt like padding in the Netflix show of Dodge showing up and like basically like, walking out of an alleyway and surprising Bodhi and trying to seem ominous and then running off. Like, that happens like 5 times and it's not shot in an interesting way. It's not believable. Like it just felt cheap too. You know what I mean?
No, it's weird because the show tries to... It can't think of interesting things. So what it did was, it was like, let's invent just new rules for this character to make it more difficult for this weird spirit character. So like, it's like a vampire now where it's invulnerable, which they demonstrate with, Ellie trying to kill it with a gun, right? And he just kind of laps her off. But then he can't take keys from the kids, right?
Yeah.
They have to be given to him, her, willingly, like a vampire being invited into a house or something, right? So it just doesn't quite make any sense.
Yeah, and is it just for the family? Like it's never really explained, I think.
It's not
at the end it is.
Is it?
What, the show or the... Yeah, well...
Yeah, the show. She does say that, because one of the other person has a key in the show, and she's like, I can fucking take it from you. It's just the Locke kids I can't.
Yeah.
Oh, the Locke kids have like some magic over them or something?
Some reason Dodge can't take them from the Locke kids.
Oh, yeah, because she walks up and takes them from
the friends.
Rufus? Or was it a friend?
One of the...
Who
which... Was it... God, which was it? Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, she just walks right up and goes...
Yank.
Boop.
Yeah.
And takes it, but just weird rules. But before we I got a list of crap. We can dig into all the differences and things like that. But let's just because what I have in mind, like, we've made it clear. We've Mr. Andrew Volpe and I have read far past where the show kind of ends for season 1. Season 1 goes all over the place.
Yeah. And it kind of like does, it picks and cherry picks things from the comics, but
which I think does it a huge disservice.
Yeah, I agree, and it's not. It's kind of things are weirdly ordered and omitted, and now it seems like it's kind of doing its own thing, like especially towards the end of the show, like the way this.
Good luck, guys. I guess.
Yeah, the way the season finale ends, it seems like it's like totally deviating from the comics now, which once again is fine, but like. I'm not interested to see where it goes. Like, I'm definitely not watching this next season.
So what would be best for kind of our discussion is, full spoilers of the show. Mm-hmm. It's on Netflix. You can watch it. It's easily available. What we don't want to do is kind of spoil the whole comic for you guys, so that, we hope that you guys will go and go find it and read it and enjoy it and discover the differences and things like that further on. But like how they relate kind of in terms of just the things that happen directly in this first season, I think it's kind of fair game for us to talk about how the comic does things. And so I'm going to try to avoid things that happen beyond what happens kind of in this first season, just so that in hopes that you guys go find these books and give them a shot. And I don't know. I don't know if you can tell by now, but we obviously think that that's a better use of your time.
Save yourself 10 hours and, if you read like 3 of the volumes or something,
Yeah. So, I think it largely basically kind of cover, I guess, the first 3, but not really, man. I mean, it's just like
jumps. Well, like the last episode, it like jumps ahead. Like, you know, the whole door in the season finale, like that the last comic, the first issue of part 5 that I read, like the door is in that, and it's like
the Omega door.
The Omega
right. Like
door,
I haven't gotten into the comic where the frigging show's finale is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like.
Well,
you know what I mean? It like nothing makes any sense.
Yeah, and I think everything's out of order. You know, once again, it feels like a lot of stuff in those last 2 episodes were kind of shoehorned in, and it's like kind of set up for like this different thing they're doing with season 2. But yeah, it's all very hard to follow.
Very hard to follow.
I mean, I think the show itself, as a show, I didn't mind it, but now that I've read the first 2 volumes completely, I don't like how they kind of shoved all the keys down your throat in the beginning.
Yeah.
Of the show?
Of the show. Like, the show put too much in the beginning, where I think the book, it has that a bit more staggered.
Yeah,
it's different types of keys.
It's like almost a key is like every 2 or 3 issues or something like that. Like the keys are almost like a act breaks or something like that.
Yeah, and you get to understand more of the keys' capability in the books.
Yeah.
It's weird because in some things, like I agree with you in some way, but like in the books there's less. So the music box, for instance.
Yeah. Well,
the music box isn't really explained in the book. It's just demonstrated kind of what it does.
I didn't get that.
Right?
They have like the one section, like there's one volume in the middle, I think that's called Keys to the Kingdom, and it's just, I think that's the idea is like, you know, okay, we went really slow on the first 2 volumes, kind of only showing 2 or 3 keys, but like that whole section of the comics is just like kind of almost fast forwarding through, like giving you a montage of them getting all these other keys and more hinting at them and not go, you know, like there's the giant key like that, like, you know, that gets like 1 issue and it's like, okay, cool, we did that. And then they have 1 issue, and one of the cool things about the comic is how they kind of keep on experimenting with different formats and like kind of gimmicks in certain issues.
The Calvin and Hobbes one.
Yeah, they have the Calvin and Hobbes one where it's all from Bodhi's perspective, you know, like, and his imagination, and it's like, what is it? He goes into the body of a bird, and like from his perspective, it's all fun, and he's like kind of cartoony, and it's like a bunch of birds attacking a pack of wolves that are possessed by demons, and you know, it shows you the cartoon version, and it's almost like they're all wearing like dive bomber helmets, and they're joking around,
like Looney Tunes style, you know.
Yeah, and then it shows you the real life, and it's like fucking wolves eating birds and eyes getting pecked out and stuff like that, and you know, just really, really interesting things like that.
Yeah, the show invents a few keys, you know what I mean? Because the book, like, I think the book is, I haven't gotten to like there's a section in one of the books, I think there's like an epilogue or a back page where it kind of like it lists all the some keys or something.
It's in the first one.
Is in the first book?
Yeah.
Okay, is that what I'm under? Well, but that's not every key though, right?
There's only like 6 or 8 of them.
No, I think there's like 11.
There's a shit ton of keys.
Yeah,
I thought, right?
And I think they haven't revealed them all, because as they're doing, like, I think they're, even though the main story in the comics is done, they're doing one shots and they're revealing more keys after that. So I guess it's kind of like an indeterminate amount of keys, but so far I've heard there was like, around 11 or 12 in the comics, and the show, I think in the comic there's like a separate, like there's a gender key and then there's a face key.
Yeah, they combine.
Yeah, and then the other one, that I think the 2 keys that the show invents are the mirror key and the match key. The one that, and the mirror key I hated.
Trash.
Yeah, so totally like.
Well, even the torch key is trash too.
The torch key is lame. You know. There was like 1 or 2 things that I thought were okay with it, but it's kind of, it's just clearly like a workaround. It's like, oh, hey, we can kill people without showing blood. so that way that we can attempt to be edgy. And most of the time, it just felt really cheap. Like the fact that that's the first thing that you see in the show is like the dude stabbing himself in the heart with the flame key, and like the flame effects look really bad, and it's just like sets off alarm bells that this is not going to be something good.
It's not gonna be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't surprise me we didn't get the appearance of the giant key.
Yeah, they're not going to do that.
I don't even want to talk about it, I guess, because it's not in the show.
Yeah,
right?
I guess we should. Yeah, you're right.
I haven't gotten that far.
I don't want to spoil it for the people out there, but there's a cool key.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, the name is kind of self-explanatory.
No. I mean, it could mean anything, man.
Yeah, you never know.
Could mean anything. You can take giant in a lot of different ways, but
so the key I had the most problem with, and I think in general this is probably the hardest to adapt, but the head key sucked. Like, it's so much cooler in the comic, and it's one of those things that really is probably incredibly hard to translate into a non-comic or book format, because it makes, in the comic, it's like you have this key that you stick in the back of people's necks, and when you turn it, it flips their heads open like a lighter or something like that, and you can stick your hand in and pull out memories or pull out imagination ideas, and if you put a book inside or a videotape, you absorb all the information of that whatever media that you're intaking. And then integrally, early on in the comic, Kinsey takes out her fear and her remorse and puts them in a bottle. And I just love that shit. I love how tiny they are, and how you can't really...
her tears and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Her ability to cry and her fear,
anger,
and makes them live together in a Coke bottle.
Yeah, and the designs of them are amazing. And we haven't talked about it, but the designs of the comic artist who was... What's his name? Gabriel Rodriguez, I think. Yeah. His artwork is fantastic, and I love the designs of a lot of the head stuff, especially too, because he can just go very weird and cartoony with it. And in the comic, her anger is this crazy monster that's made out of old newspapers and has a little knife and looks like a demon, like one of those cartoons things from the 70s, and then her remorse is this cloaked girl who's made out of pipes that are always leaking, so she's always crying and stuff like that. But so it's really cool, and it is I don't know how the hell they would, you probably would have to change that the most when you're adapting this comic, but the way they did it in the Netflix show, I really didn't like when Kinsey does take out her fear and remorse or her anger, but it's adult sized. It's just kind of this it's the same actress in shitty makeup around a monster.
It's like that Saturday Night Live commercial or whatever where they release the what is that fucking thing called? Oh, never mind.
Well, it reminded me of that movie Holy Motors, where it's the weird French guy running around.
I never got to watch. I don't think I never finished it, but yes, it's I hated that.
Yeah,
I hated it.
I agree. It makes no sense.
And it just stalks the woods, it just runs around, and they have to they bury it.
Yeah, why was it
and then
buried?
they dig it up and stuff.
Yeah,
oh God.
I didn't know.
Well, she buried it.
She
right?
buried it. She killed it.
I probably went to the bathroom.
I don't have a problem with how they did the head key in the show.
Well, that's how you'd have to do it.
But I agree, her fear element compared to how it was in the comics, I do like how they depicted that better, because the character's lame, but I liked how Bodhi's was a fun zone in a toy box, and Kenzie's was a mall. I mean, very cliche and very made for TV, and I guess that's just because it's kind of a little silly, but I liked that depiction visually.
Mm-hmm.
Did you like the Savini Club of woke millennial nerds?
Oh God.
I definitely everyone felt that just casting call for all the, like
they're one kid in a wheelchair away
yeah
from being Degrassi.
That's exactly Degrassi. That's what it felt like. Yeah, and it like I don't know. I just felt so pandering and but
I love the fat guy who looked like he was 38 years old.
And I think, do you think they did the Savini Club? The only reason they did the Savini Club is just because they had Tom Savini do a cameo in the first episode.
100%.
Yeah, like
I mean, I was a little bit. I mean, when they changed from Lovecraft to Matheson, I was which is like
Why would they like?
Because
Matheson's another. Lovecraft is a famous like horror sci-fi writer, but like Matheson is also a like slightly less famous, and it probably just sounds a little less on the nose. Like Lovecraft is a little.
I think it's too poppy right now.
Yeah.
Like it's in freaking Rick and Morty intro.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a little bit hard.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But Matheson did like Omega Man, which was made into he wrote I
Am Legend.
He wrote I Am Legend, which they made into Omega Man, and then Will Smith remade it into I Am Legend.
Yeah.
So he's got some hits.
Yep.
But yeah, the weird drowning cave scene, where they're filming the horror movie scene, the friends and the romantic exploits. I mean,
man,
just
the
cell phones, the texting on screen.
Oh yeah, there was
and the parties and shit.
Oh, and dude, the fucking the needle drops in the show killed me. Like, there's so much shitty, like
What was their budget?
I don't know, but that's the thing that really made me feel like this was like a freeform show or something, because just like every 10 minutes it's got to be one of those like Billy's texting me while I'm listening to shitty music in a mirror kind of like it just so different from the comic.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
It was horrible. And the book is great because you're watching a guy. So in the show, the character Zach / Dodge is kind of, when in the male form, is kind of on the periphery. You know what I mean? Of like not really interacting with the kids as much, right? Like I can't remember a ton of scenes where the male form is interacting with the kids.
Well, he's kind of there.
With Bodhi once.
No,
but Bodhi and Rufus don't like Zach, and in the comics, Bodhi loves Zach.
Yeah, a little bit. Like, Zach starts dating Kenzie in the comics too.
Right.
I think.
So very involved, and he's like an older brother.
Yeah.
And Bodhi's like, he's going to teach me how to do fencing and sword fighting and blah blah blah. Like Bodhi likes Kenzie's male friends.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But Zach,
show he doesn't like him.
Right? And there's that weird scene where female Dodge is making out in a truck with Tyler and then kind of going from...
I think that was the element they were trying to bring in from the book, that he was friends with them. So she was trying to pretend like they were friendly.
Kind of manipulate them, but...
Like, add that element from the book into the show. Like, I can see very odd elements that are in the book taken into the show, but then twisted in a different manner.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
like, just a bunch of different things.
Yeah, no, actually, you got a good point. Another, sorry, I keep on going back to casting, but another thing that I hated about the show, like, it is kind of a hard line to walk, but in the comic they have the character of Rufus, who is... Oh,
I love Rufus.
Oh, man. So in the comic...
Comic Rufus is the GOAT.
Yeah,
I love
Is he in it more later?
Yeah,
he wasn't in it a
Yeah,
ton.
he's a pivotal character.
You know, just like his dad, Joe Hill, apparently tends to use the trope of the mentally disabled kid that kind of comes in to play a big part into the plot. But so in the comic, he's great, and he has this really interesting, I guess, like, plot. The way he talks is basically all through like military talk, because he's always playing.
He can only speak in military jargon character.
Yeah.
Like, it's like like if you were standing at attention speaking to a superior officer, that's the only way he'll communicate with anyone.
Yeah, and all of his he like kind of speaks in code through this stuff. Like he has, when he has issues with certain characters, he'll be like, "Oh, the enemy's among us, sir," or something like that. I just hated how in the show it's like, "Oh no, we're just making him like a guy that's 25 and like a dork." Like I don't understand.
Why did they age him up?
I didn't
understand that. It didn't make any sense to me.
It felt like a play or something. Like you know how you cast, like in high school, like you have the person that's playing someone way too young or way too old. Like it totally took you out of any attempt of artificiality or whatever in the.
I mean, how old is he in the book? Because 25 did not enter my head.
I would say he's not quite high school age. I'd say
I would
probably
say he's
maybe 12 or 13 or something.
Yeah, like he's like old enough to play with Bodhi, but like not that much older or whatever.
Okay, so in the show, I was thinking, I don't know, maybe 18, 19.
Yeah.
Because he has a job. They're like, well, he's old enough to be a groundskeeper.
Yeah, but he's also
at a creepy old
disabled,
manor.
And perhaps that's all the school he could get. Now he's doing something.
Yeah.
Oh, he's out, baby. He's but he has access to like a shed full of traps.
He's
somehow?
Also not as disabled as.
Yeah, he is
in the book.
He didn't really come across as disabled to me. That's the thing, is like it felt like somebody playing disabled poorly. Like there's no it doesn't have any specificity.
Like
you know what I mean?
In the South,
yes.
Back in the day, they would say he's touched.
Yeah, but like the thing is, like you watch the show
just to dabble.
Well, you watch the show and like you can't even really get a hold on like what his disability is or like condition or anything like that. It's just like, oh, I am like nebulously like mentally slow. Yeah, but like it just felt very, and it's so that sort of thing is like it's clear that that's a plot device a lot, but like it makes it so much more obvious in the show. Like it's just like, oh, okay, this kid is like going to play a part later or something.
But it's interesting because it's revealed that he has some very interesting qualities, right? You know what I mean? With certain things with his head and things he can see that other people can't see, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, he in the comics, that's how he kind of starts to become more involved in the plot, and it's really interesting. And
it's far more intriguing in the books.
Yeah, and so what does he do? Like, I honestly, like, I finished the show last week, and like large swaths of it are already like leaving my memory. But like, how does he save the day?
Someone beats the shit out of him, right? Doesn't Dodge beat the shit out of him in the living room?
Yeah. So at the end, at the twist at the end,
knocked out or something.
Yeah,
right?
like when they do the identity swap between him and Rufus's mom. I think that's the first hint that Dodge is still out there, because after all the climax of the show is over, like they go over to Rufus's house and they need to take him to the hospital and shit.
Mm-hmm. But you don't, in the show, you don't see really any of his unique abilities.
Nah,
because I've barely touched that in the comics, and I have no idea what either of you are talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that.
Now I really want to read to figure out, like...
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Did you like the way they did Sam Lesser?
In the show?
Or do you like, the blowjob giving trucker version in the comics?
Oh yeah. It was, so once again,
that's something that didn't make the Netflix show.
Right. Oh, and like the way, Sam Lesser, like I thought the actor wasn't like, that's the thing is like I think some of the actors in the show aren't bad. They're just like used.
I didn't think he was bad. Right.
Yeah, I think he like
I didn't think the actor was too bad.
When
he kind of played it like a weird demented loner.
Yeah.
They went and found like a weird good ugly kid to do it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you need. And like when he comes in like episode 7 and everything, like that's when I started being a little bit more interested in the show, because that whole episode he's pretty much resting on him and everything. But yeah, like I think that, you know, like it's still not done well. Like I hated
His
that.
whole character arc and everything
Yeah.
is done horribly, but
They stretched it out so much longer
Yes.
in the show, which after reading the first volume, I'm just like, I'm confused.
Yeah, like the thing
Why?
that happens at the end of issue 4 in the comic is like almost near the climax of the season 1 of the Netflix show. Like,
Yeah. All of the storyline and how they chose to like do the timeline between the comic to the show is so disorienting.
you know, I almost wonder because the pilot that I watched, the Fox thing, one of the things that I liked about it is it followed the comic closer. Like, you know, like it like the shit, like it has Sam Lesser attacking at the end of episode 1. Like the thing about the Netflix show is like, you know, it muddles, it kind of mixes up the order of things that happen in the comic, but it also, like, you know, takes it so long for things in the comic to happen. But
well, they needed another teen drinking party scene.
yeah, well, of course, or another texting scene or something, standing in the mirror, like. But
LOL.
but the first episode of the Fox show ends like at the end of issue 4 of the comic, so it just breezes through stuff, and like so you're more interested because things are happening very quickly, and like yeah, like and there's this Netflix show had so many characters I didn't care about, like
You didn't like all the love interests for Tyler, the kind of fat but skinny girl, or the girl who loves London randomly for no reason.
Oh, and you know how
Or the really annoying ice cream scooping
Yes.
English guy.
Yeah.
If you love England so much, why don't you date the guy from England, girl?
Oh my god.
Did you think about that? In the same small town, there's one girl in one school who loves England, and then there's an English guy, and they're both trying to date the siblings of the other one, and then there's a scene where they show up on the stoop of the same goddamn house, and they just don't start talking?
Hey man, you're spoiling it for season 2.
Well, I'm just like, why didn't you guys get together?
I don't know. Well, clearly, you know, the girl and Tyler bonded over their Magic 8-Ball app, which yeah. I was like,
Remember when there was an app for everything in 2010, and we were downloading just apps for everything? I was like, I'm back.
well,
I was confused. I had to wait. What's happening?
Yeah.
What are they talking about? Are they making is this a Bumble?
Yeah.
Is this a? Am I? Oh no! They're talking about something that was like
a thing 10 years ago. Like, it's so clearly written by somebody in their like 50s or 60s or something. Like, this is what old men think teenagers talk like now. You know, like we're so like, you know, last week you were talking about Birds of Prey didn't have good dialogue for teenagers, but this is so much worse, and it's like 10 hours of it. Like most of the show is that shit. And
I really liked Tyler's hockey bro friends.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, and the guy without legs.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I
Yeah.
didn't realize he didn't have
He's not
legs
in the
until
book.
towards the end.
He's not in the book, but they just invented him. I guess he's our new wheelchair guy.
Yeah.
That's
We
true.
just skipped right ahead. Now he has legs, but it's like, you know what I mean? But like, is it ever explained why he doesn't have legs, or that's just not? We're just not going to mention it anymore.
I was wondering, like, I didn't know, like, did they not show his? Because I literally, it was like the second to last episode before I actually noticed that he didn't. I must have.
You didn't
not been
realize
paying
that
attention.
he's walking around on metal.
Well, it was like the first thing they showed you.
Oh,
when
really?
They introduced him.
That's his entire character.
It's foot up, like panning is the
Yeah,
very first.
I was like going to the bathroom and like making a sandwich. Like I must have walked out.
Well, I was very confused because we see him defacing one of his friend's car, and then Tyler doesn't do anything about it, and then the friends are stealing 40s.
Oh,
and then the guy
yeah.
goes, "Oh, like, thanks for holding my 40. I'll rescue you. Here's
'Cause
my
I'm
ID."
old enough.
But I was like, "Is it a fake ID or is it not?"
Yeah,
I'm not-
Does
If
he
you-
work
if one
at
of
the
your
school, or
friends-
is he a student?
yeah, I was like, "How old is this person?"
Well, it's like also if one of your friends has the fake ID, why steal the booze? Like, isn't that like?
Well, but they hated him. But then he was like, "Well, I've been friends with the girl that you're talking to for years." Right? So you're
At
like,
the beginning,
"Oh."
I thought he was like an older teacher or like a young teacher there, or
We got a lot of people that,
something like
they
that.
can play
either.
quite a range. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like Scream and all those '90s high school movies where everyone's like in their 30s.
Yeah, Matthew Lillard is about to burst through the door.
Yeah.
Going explain the rule. Jamie Kennedy is going to explain the rules.
Yeah,
of the war,
yeah.
some shit. What else I got? Kinsey's Horrible Friends. I mean, I don't like the ripoff, like, Spider, what's his name?
Spider.
You know what I mean? I just felt like, is it the same artist?
Oh, who are we talking about? I have no idea what you're alluding to.
Me neither.
It's my favorite. It's one of my favorite comics.
The Ultimate
No,
Spider-Man?
Transmetropolitan, right?
Oh, yeah.
Is it the same
yeah,
artist?
Warren Ellis.
No, but is the same artist that drew it?
Oh, that I don't know.
I can't remember, but it looks the same, and it's like, did this
Yeah.
gentleman just draw Spider again? Like, it looks like Spider, right? Scott or whatever his name is.
Yeah, wait. So in the show, you're saying somebody drew something that looks like Transmetropolitan?
Hold on a second.
I literally, I'm like trying to figure out if I'm starting to realize there's probably like more swaths of the show that I might have. I was falling asleep in the show.
Are you talking
a lot.
about the comic? Are you talking about the guy in the comic that has the
Oh! You're talking about
That's
Scott.
bald.
So you're talking about the friend in the comic that
Yeah,
has the
yeah,
tattoos
yeah,
and
yeah.
piercings.
Oh,
yeah, so
yeah.
I
Hold
think
on.
Kinsey had. So in the comic, Kinsey has two friends that are love interests. I think it's Scott and Jamal. I think Scott is supposed
Right.
to be British. In
Not
the
the
comic.
same artist. I had it.
This
Yeah,
guy?
yeah. The guy with the sleeves. He's an 18-year-old, but he has tribal sleeve tattoos
yeah.
somehow. Okay.
What's this? I don't remember.
He looks like they ripped off friggin'
does.
Spider.
Yeah. Okay. You're totally right.
So
Yeah.
I was like, I wonder, is it the same artist? It can't be. And then,
But it
no,
might be
no,
just
no.
like paying homage since that's such a, seminal comic and everything. But yeah, so in the show it seems like they just combined Scott and Jamal. Is the friend Jamal? That's his name?
Jamal in the comic,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Jamal
the
and
dorky one.
right.
And so they're.
It was a race swap,
Oh yeah,
and then
'cause,
they got rid of.
Scott. So Scott is in the show, but he shows up. He's basically doing what Dodge is doing in the comics, right?
So they what's the short little Weasley dorky little white kid?
I think
Kinsey's
I-
second leg?
yeah.
What's-
So in the show, I think that's Scott, but in the Scott.
What's his name?
No,
Well, he's the
Scott's
one that
black
would-
kid. What's shit? No, it's
Yeah, Scott with two T's.
yeah. I don't know. It was hold on. I got the IMDb right here somewhere.
I can't
But
remember his
basically,
name.
yeah, he was the one that accepted the offer of dating both,
letting her date.
letting her date both. He was the one that was like, okay,
But so at the end of the show, he's revealed to be Dodge, right? Like
Yes.
all along. What the hell is his name? Thomas.
But was it all along,
You know,
or-
so he was in that show American Vandal, I think.
okay, yeah,
Yeah, because I was like, I
never-
definitely had seen him in something before, but
I mean, does he just become
oh yeah, I think there
that
was-
because that
He
happens
comes
in
out
the
of nowhere, right?
right? Like, is this did anyone know who he was? He wasn't the new kid in school, right? Or was he? I don't know.
No, I guess he wasn't. I guess they never show him enough. Like they seem to make
They
a
show him with the music box at first. Like, the two of them are fucking with the popular girl
Right.
in the show with the music box. Then he's just like, oh, cool. But like that's the first time we see him.
yeah.
Because that role is basically the Dodge role throughout the comic of being kind of the manipulative one who's always encouraging her to be
Evil,
kind
a
of
little bit.
bold and reckless and embracing the magic of the keys and being very intrigued by it and wanting to learn how they work and all that stuff. That's when Dodge is basically trying to date her the whole time in the comic book.
But so in the show, that kind of killed me a little bit because like I was wondering why have that change of character? Like why not just have Luke or whatever? Because like Luke is a character in the show, but he doesn't show up till almost the end. So I think the filmmakers were thinking like, oh, we're gonna pull one over on the audience for the people that have read the comics by making this other character that turns out to be Dodge instead of just Lucas. But it's so obvious. I felt like it was very obvious that like that kid was a bad guy. Like from the moment he was introduced, like, you know, him being like, "Oh, geez, you guys are doing bad stuff. You guys got some magic keys. Can I start being your friend?" And, you know, like it was like, you know, on Boy Meets World, how it's like characters suddenly appear and disappear because they go to the other side of the school or something like that. Like,
Right.
like,
Yeah. To me, like I kind of was more forgiving because he was clearly like out of his league. You know what I mean? Where I thought he'd basically go along with anything,
Right.
just to try to get his teeth into this girl. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I was like, there's no way he's just not gonna be down for kind of whatever.
Right.
He's 5'3", so like he's, you know, in heels he's 5'6", so like he's playing the lobster. Like he's gonna be fine with whatever the plan is. I'd bet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So. I kind of didn't really hold that against him too much.
Right.
But,
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just me being, you know, just along for the ride while I watch this. But I was surprised when it was revealed at the end that he was Dodge.
Oh, okay.
dun dun dun.
I probably
We'll
wouldn't
figure it out
have
episode 2.
guessed it were it not for the comic, though. You're right.
Okay.
But yeah, you know, like, I guess the reveal at the end was a little bit more interesting, and you know, the girl getting hit with the evil
The bullet,
light,
right?
the evil light bullet, whatever. Yeah, and I kind of was wondering if they were gonna do something like that, because they just set up the fact that if you get touched by this dot, you'll be evil. You know, and like they kept on reiterating that, so I assumed like somebody was going to get become evil, but that I didn't expect it to be her on top of the other friend also turning out to be Dodge as well. You know,
I wish they had kind of. I mean, they kill off Mark. Is it Mark Cho? They kill off Mark Cho. They kind of go. They talk to, you know. Was it Rendell's old girlfriend who was the crazy lady in the asylum who
yeah.
won't talk
yeah,
to anyone?
Yeah.
You know, but in the show they kind of show like the flashbacks of like Duncan's memories and things like that. That doesn't really happen in any of the comics. I'm trying to think.
He does once.
Yeah.
Do they have do they have jars, or how do they?
No, they don't have jars. It's something.
How do they see the memories?
I think that
like they showed him when he was down in the drowning place, and Dodge like walks him back or something.
yeah, I think in the
How do they see the old memories in the book?
And I think
what I'm trying to say.
I think in the comic it's like all the other stuff in your head where it just appears as little like people kind of that you have to keep in jars. So I think there's a jar filled with people.
to
Man,
remember.
it's
I
all
can't
blurring together.
I feel like this was the part that was called like an episode or something. That was black and white. Remember I asked,
Yeah,
I was like, what is this part?
Is
And it's such a
Duncan the key
random-
to the whole thing, where they keep having him and his boyfriend in the epilogue of the series of like he's the key to unlock the mystery of the whole thing?
Because you see his memories.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, in the comic, he has not... Like, it seems like they're setting them up for something to play an important role towards the end, but that plot kind of hasn't fully finished itself yet, at least as far as I've read.
Is he way younger than either of you thought he would be in the comic than in the book? Or
What is he, mid-30s, you think,
the
in the comic?
In the
comic, he seems young to me.
he seems like, I would say maybe... Because he's teaching at a college, so I would say he's probably, like, late 20s to early 30s, and I think his boyfriend... It might just be, like, his boyfriend's older than him, or whatever. His boyfriend seems
Now
like
got
he's,
himself
like,
a real
40.
bear.
Yeah, right. But yeah, and it's hard to tell because the guy that they casted in the show, the dude from X-Men, is like
Iceman.
Like he's totally like, I'm always gonna think of him as Iceman. And let's not forget a little show called Animorphs.
Was he in Animorphs?
Speaking of terrible adaptations, yeah, he was the main kid in Animorphs.
Oh shit!
He had a
Forgot
big
about
like
that.
Nickelodeon Disney career himself when he was a kid, but like.
But he seems much older
But
in the show.
He seems much older in the show, but he looks kind of baby faced or whatever.
He's ageless. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like Paul Rudd. Did you like how they went out and got like a guy from like Oklahoma or Texas to play Rendell, who was supposed to grow up in New England?
I hated that casting.
Oh,
he looked like a
God.
fucking Abercrombie
Did they
model.
go get Cyrus? What's his name? Miley Cyrus's dad.
Billy
Achy
Ray
Breaky
Cyrus.
Heart.
Yeah, Billy Ray Cyrus to play this role or something. Like,
Yeah,
you guys could have found anyone.
Yeah, like-
this guy isn't a guidance counselor.
No, of course. Yeah, like that's the thing is like he's like you're spending all day working those abs that he's got. Whatever. Like nobody. Like that's the thing I liked in the comic is kind of how a little bit schlubby the dad was and how he was like gingery too and everything. It has more character. So like every time the dad came up in the show, like I just hated it because it felt like Days of Our Lives or like some sort of like daytime drama or something.
I thought I was watching like Sam from True Blood or something.
Yeah.
Where it was like he owns a saloon or something.
Yeah, he needs to be on like Longmire or like one of those shows your
Exactly.
parents watch, on CBS.
He's a rancher or something.
Yeah, exactly.
But let's see what else we got here. I mean, they Detective Matuku,
Oh yeah.
just absolutely worthless, trying to bang a vulnerable mom in the show. You know what I mean?
He's a little bit more of a like they definitely like did not. He's a little bit more of like a romantic. Like I think they have some romantic feelings in the show, but like he's a lot less interesting in the show compared to the comic. I feel like he's
in the comic, he's an actual detective who's trying to solve a crime.
yeah, and he's like kind of more of a hero, like like he's the type of guy that you would see in a detective story or something like that, and he's smart and everything, and like in the show the cop doesn't care, and like he's like, oh yeah, this guy probably killed himself, I'm not really going to investigate this that much. Like,
the book gives you it tears your heart out. There's so many scenes. The scene with I'm trying to remember the poor gentleman's name that Dodge kills, the teacher.
Oh, the older guy.
Ridgeway.
Ridgeway,
Where
yeah.
he was he in Birds of Prey?
Oh, the actor. He's been in something else.
He's
for
in
sure.
Birds of Prey too, I
Is he?
think.
Oh.
The actor is like the asshole like sergeant that like is busting Rosie Perez's chops.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, according to IMDb, his name is Stephen Williams, and he was in The Blues Brothers and It and Jason Goes to Hell.
He was not in.
Oh yeah, and he was in Birds of Prey. Yeah, you're totally.
Well, there you go. Well, that's the only one, and thank Christ for that, because I did not want to sound like, and I didn't want to get a.
Yeah. Well, don't worry, you were correct. But yeah, he seems like he plays a lot of. I'm going through his IMDb now, and it seems like he's always
plays a lot of cops.
He plays a lot of the sergeant. Like I'm pretty sure he's the sergeant that's like, you're a rebel. Turn in your badge and gun. Like he seems
Right.
totally like that guy. Walker,
He's
Texas
gonna go
Ranger.
get Murdoch or something.
Yeah.
But dude, like the comic version's great, and they do the whole like, where it's the heartbreaking reality of getting older and watching your spouse die and living alone, and the solitude
Solitude of old age.
You better hope to die first, ladies and gentlemen. You know what I mean? That's my plan. We're leaving Ash behind. You know what I mean?
But what did you think along that respect with Ridgeway, that in the show they kept Lucas's name as Lucas, but in the comic book he changes his name.
Do they?
Yeah, so in the comic book his name is Jake.
No, it's Zach.
Zach, whatever.
Yeah.
But like Ridgeway in the comic book is like, he looks like Lucas Kavanaugh. Like that's the connection he's making, and I'm like, well, why in the show did they decide to either reuse his name again? Because to me that's a little weird.
Yeah.
Where the comic book clearly changed his name for a reason, to not be the same person.
I don't think they did. Didn't they?
Yes.
Didn't she have like, I can't remember.
Well,
but, like,
it's
don't
because
they say like,
Lucas
don't call me
was-
Luke, don't call me Luke, it's Zach now or something? Don't they have
I
that?
thought that was in
Yeah.
the comic.
I don't know.
Well, that's the thing is the Lucas. Once again, the Lucas element is introduced so late that it feels like I think they were trying to build it up to be more of a twist in the show, and I think that's not terribly done. Like I didn't know I feel like if I didn't read the comic, I wouldn't have seen that coming as much. But it's like, you know, he's not a character in the show until like episode 7 or 8. So they have to kind of like dump all this like importance on him and then you know, move on. You know.
Maybe he did change his name. Now that I think about it.
Did you like the part where he puts the crown on and then he said what did he say?
I can't remember.
Hello, darkness, my old friend, or something.
Fuck that. Yes. Yeah.
But because that's a direct. They took that right from the book. You know?
Yeah, it's one of those things that works way better on the page, or just like the way, you know. So much of it's just tone, man. Like, yeah, I really feel like that Fox show would have done all this stuff better.
So is the new director supposedly doing season 2? Is there even a season 2 greenlit?
It's a good question. They're apparently writing it. Like, they haven't gotten greenlit yet, but like they've got plans for what they're going to do for season 2. You know, Netflix, I feel like, is easy enough to, you know, they'll greenlight anything for a second season, but like they'll cancel you right after that most of the time.
I feel like they always give you 2 and then you're done, right? Or something like that.
Yeah,
Don't they have some like they have some
they hate
thing, right?
Yeah, they hate like keeping shows on for like 3 or 4 seasons, but a lot of times I feel like they'll give things 2 seasons just to see.
I'm sure they got kind of burned with Stranger Things of like, okay, we're gonna wait 18 months for a new season and we're paying these 13-year-old kids how many millions of dollars for each episode? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I bet they're kind of like, you know what?
Yeah, I wonder if they're kind of scaling back on, you know, I wonder if their directive is kind of changing a little bit now that the battlefield of the streaming services has kind of changed with Disney Plus and all this other shit. Like I feel like maybe they're trying to pump more kid-friendly stuff out there, or maybe this is indicative of a change of direction in what they're trying to produce nowadays.
I don't know. I hope
not.
Man.
Yeah.
I sure hope not. You know what I mean? Because
real dip in quality.
Please, God, no. Yeah, you know, and it's a bummer for me because, you know, I love non-superhero kind of like hard R mature comic graphic novels, totally. If you will. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And to see them kind of like, I hope people see this. And I thought to myself, like, Jesus, there's going to be like some 13-year-old girl that like goes on Amazon and buys like all the volumes and just starts reading this.
Yeah, this isn't YA like, stuff.
Yeah, and she's gonna watch Sam Lesser blow a truck driver as he like hitchhikes across the country to go murder a family.
Yeah,
I mean that caught me super off guard.
Yeah,
because I'd seen pretty much everything, and then I got to that part where they hit Sam Lesser and his friend or whatever are murdering people
and raping their mom and
then the blowjob, and I was like, wow, this is a little different than the show.
Yeah.
But I feel like such a hypocrite because I am a brutal I hate the Walking Dead show. Because the comic book is so much better.
Right.
So it's like the order of what I watched kind of impacted it. But I'm just like, this show would be better if it took a darker turn for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely it's kind of reminiscent of, like, you know, it is funny because Joe Hill does seem like he has a lot of his dad's qualities, and this adaptation kind of has some of the, you know, sometimes when they used to do like the shitty Stephen King straight to the ABC made for TV movies of like the Langoliers or something like that, where like you read the source material and it's like dark and it's scary and it has all the shit that you could never put on television, and so when you finally see the adaptation and it's just like so much like falls so short of where the books were, like this is kind of the same way, like, you know, they like tons of Stephen King books have scenes like that where somebody's like, it's either sex or violence or something, you know, the real world scary stuff that they kind of have to cut out for, so, you know, the family and the kids can watch it and whatnot.
But if like this, like Dave said, this has a very Riverdale feel to it. If my 12-year-old daughter was like, "Oh, mommy, I want to read this comic book. The show looks great." Like, I'm like, "Fuck, this is super not what I expected it to be."
Yeah, absolutely.
I would be, I don't know, my kid would be like, "Why is he in the truck driver's lap, mama?" Like, that'd be disturbing.
It's wild. I'm trying to think of something that's kind of comparable to this, of like such an incredible tonal shift.
Yeah, it would have.
I don't know. I'm trying to think.
It strikes me to me of the stereotype of like the coked up executive being like, yeah, can we make it like, can we give him a talking dog or something, like, you know, like, what's a bad idea that we can interject that like doesn't have anything to do with the source material, or it's just the totally wrong direction.
I mean, like, who's their audience for this?
I don't.
That's where
I think kids.
Yeah, but the thing
like
is,
young
I mean,
kids.
I guess.
like my question is, would kids go for, like, you know, like, I feel like I would find it kind of lame even if I was a kid, but like it might be, as Dave mentioned before, just because like I tended to gravitate towards the more like darker stuff anyways at that age. Like, so I feel like there's so much stuff that when you try to target at a younger audience and try to like water it down in order to do so, like, it doesn't end up doing that because you water it down, if that makes any sense. Like,
I kind of see this as like a teenage girl thing. It's like do young boys listen to One Direction? You know what I mean? Like, but that's like, this show is One Direction, but a TV show.
yeah.
I think teenage girls watch Riverdale. I don't think teenage boys watch Riverdale.
Yeah.
So it's like, I feel like it's being, I hope that's what they're going for, because I think that's what they're going to probably end up with. But because the melodrama of watching teenagers, like, have texting,
Relationship drama, weird, and all that.
Yeah, like, I don't know who else is into that other than a younger female demographic. I mean, just I don't know. But
is it targeted for people like me?
Well, it's the opposite of who buys these books.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Right? So it's a weird choice to me.
Yeah.
You know, these comics are for older men, and they made a show for younger women.
Yeah.
It's very odd.
Yeah, I think they just shot themselves in the foot, though, because it feels like you're like the worst of both worlds, because you're limiting the like we're doing right now. You're limiting the audience that likes the source material, and I feel like you're cutting off people that would be interested in it more. Like if I was watching the show and I hadn't heard of the comic, I would watch the first 20 minutes and then I would have turned it off or something like that.
Right. This would have been just a smear on my shoe of on to the next one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, like, and I feel like I don't think, because I've asked other people if they've watched it, and like that's kind of what I've heard. You know, I haven't known that many people that have watched it, but like everyone that I have was like, yeah, I watched the first half an hour of it, then I had to turn it off. Like,
which is going to be sad if they end up changing the second season to be more dark and more interesting. Like if they take the proper tone and the changes, no one's going to make it past the first season. They're going to go, this is fucking stupid, until the last 2 episodes.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like they were on their way to righting the boat a little bit, but yeah, I don't know if it's going to get a second season or a third season. I really don't care, though. Like, this show can just go fuck itself all day and all night.
Well, there you go. I want to see if the cookie cutter redhead mom that they found somewhere cleans up her act. And
she was, I really disliked her.
Hey guys,
even just in the show.
I'm wearing my Capri mom jeans and making eggs in the kitchen.
Like, she was one of the like, her character was like, showed a lot of the things wrong with the show, because it's like, instead of giving her a real problem to deal with, like, the alcoholism in the comic is one of the strongest things.
She's one of the most brutal, violent, horrible characters in the comic,
but
by far,
but
because she is the mom and she's so cutting.
Yeah.
And then they replaced her with this like toothless frigging
just like
what's her name? Judy fucking Jensen, you know?
Yeah.
Or not Judy.
Yeah,
What was her
like
name?
a 50s
Trudy?
sitcom mom or something
Yeah,
like that.
seriously.
No, like
She's Betty Rubble.
and then they
basically.
give her a mystery to solve or something. It's like, we got to give her something to do. So okay, she's hunting down. Like they it's just all plot stuff and nothing about her character. And they don't even give her a limp too. That's the other thing that got me is like, okay, I understand you taking away her getting raped in the comics, but like she got shot in the leg and she walks around with a cane for the whole comic, which is like symbolic of her, the trauma, like how she's never healed from the trauma. Like in general, like one of the biggest problems I have with the show is like everyone is totally okay. Like your father and husband was brutally murdered like a couple of months ago, and your entire life has been uprooted, and none of these characters are playing it like that. Like the mom especially is like, oh geez, how you kids doing today? Hey, wasn't that weird how somebody came and shot her dad in the head like a few months ago? Like you don't read that at all in the way they're telling this actress to play it. Like
No, and they missed one of the more horrifying issues of the book is, and they do it in the show where she kind of discovers the closet or the little cabinet or whatever that repairs things.
Yeah.
And she starts with like some broken plates and kind of one of her, like in the book, she has a broken cane and that she puts in there and it comes back because it's like her grandfather's cane. And then I think it's like her mug that means a lot to her in the show. So she breaks her mug. It comes back and repairs itself. And then she has like the demented thing where she's going to, put Rendell's ashes back in so that he'll come back to life somehow. And then in the book, the most demented part where she puts him in, leaves him in, and just kind of and hopes and prays that he's gonna pop out. And then she goes and gets herself like all cleaned up and dolled up and puts on lingerie and hopes that he's gonna come out and just start banging her. And
But
so
she did put his urn in there.
yeah, so she's kind of like all dressed up, and she's gone and done whatever she did,
and she's like raging drunk too in this house.
Raging drunk, and Tyler is like in a doorway or like brushing his teeth, and she walks in behind him and like doesn't see his face, and she starts like kissing his neck or something, right? Oh man, it's like, you guys, let me tell you something. You're in for a real treat. You know what I mean?
Is she sober at all in the comic book?
She's angry and drunk
Yeah.
the entire time,
Yeah.
I think, pretty much. I think she's literally like she's drinking at breakfast. She's like every scene you see her, they constantly remind you that she's drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Because even she's like lying, she's sitting in a bar saying that she's somewhere.
Yeah.
She's lying to her kids in one scene saying, hey, I'm going to drive back tonight. I'll see you guys soon. Or I'm at some function, but really she's sitting in a bar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's all kinds of scenes like that.
Some of the most powerful shots in the comic to me were just like the things like that you were mentioning where it doesn't even draw that much attention to it. Like it's just like they'll cut away from the action to show where the mom's at, and it's just like her in the bar, or she'll be like crying, like downing a whole bottle of vodka or something like that, or they'll show the kids opening up one of her drawers and like it's just full of empty bottles and everything like that.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, she likes to hide her empties in her like underwear drawer, and like Bodhi is like snooping around just as a little kid will in their parents' room, and ends up like finding like a drawer full of empty liquor bottles or something one time, and like
it's handled really well in the comic, and like that's the thing, much like,
well, it's as if it was written by a guy who grew up
with an alcoholic dad.
parent.
Yeah.
Gee, I don't know.
Yeah. But like even in Stephen King's works, alcoholism is a little bit of another theme that pops up there too. Like,
oh, just a little bit.
Like I started thinking of Dr. Sleep a lot of the times while we were watching this. Like, but like the for me, I think a good horror story, like, that if you have that element of real horror, like regular things that you can see in the real world, that's like personal, like somebody in your family struggling with alcoholism, like, that's the weight, that's the thing that gives a story a real emotional oomph. And then like all of the, supernatural stuff kind of is a metaphor for it or strengthens it somehow. Like, I feel like if you have it anchored in reality, it makes all of the weirder stuff have more impact in general. Yeah.
Well, there you go. You got any other? Let's see here. I'm worked through my list. I think for the most part, I think we've covered almost everything that I kind of jotted down in all my suffering of trying to do my research for the show. But any final thoughts, Ash? Big fan.
I mean, I enjoyed the show separately from the book.
Yeah.
Like, when I started reading the book, very different. I enjoy the book. I like the darkness. I like all the different pieces in the story. But I can respect the show and the respect that they just took different little pieces of it to make a TV show that is a TV show. Like, I see them as just kind of separate entities, and I'm okay with that.
I think that's the healthiest way that you have to look at it. Because for us, it's just hard to compartmentalize because we're just angry.
Well, it's also...
And I would be on the same boat with you guys if I had read it first.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Well, I think for us, too, it's just reading the comic in such close proximity to watching the show. Like, I feel like if I had read the comic, like, a year before and then watch the show, I'd be able to kind of differentiate, separate the two in my mind, and I'd be able to kind of just let the show be its own thing, even if I'm not into it. But like, I think I'm more angry at the show because I'm in the middle of reading the comic, if that makes sense. But yeah, so I think you guys know my thoughts on it too, but I'll just say, like, if anyone's listening, like, definitely go on Reddit and look up the Fox pilot that never got produced, because it's an interesting look into, like, just how tone and, like, just direction really can alter how the same source material plays, and really how important that is, and how vastly different products can be when you take different spins on them like that.
Yeah. Well, very well said. Sums up my thinking on it as well. Well, there you go, guys. You know what I mean? We appreciate you for listening. Made it through the show. We'll continue. We'll finish out the books. We're working on the Andy Kaufman Netflix whenever
Charlie
that
Kaufman.
happens. Oh, sorry. What did I say? Andy Kaufman?
Yeah, but Netflix
I wish Andy
probably
Kaufman was doing something for Netflix.
I was gonna say Netflix is, don't put it beyond them to, like, resurrect him somehow and get him his own show. We're gonna
That would be awesome.
Yeah, we're gonna we're gonna do like that James Dean thing. You heard about that? How they're making a James Dean movie with his fucking...
Another one?
They're making James Dean, like, they're resurrecting him digitally, without his permission.
Ugh.
It's like the Grand Moff Tarkin thing in Star Wars.
Oh, God, no.
Just CGI monsters of dead people running around.
But what is it going to be, like, set in that era?
I have no idea what the movie's about.
He's going to be, like, greased up on a Harley or something?
I guess. They haven't started filming the movie yet, but it's like, that's the selling point, is like, we're resurrecting James Dean somehow and putting him in films that he never asked to be in. His soul is forever stuck making crappy movies that he has no control over.
Jesus, poor bastard. Marlon Brando, he's like, can I get a little of that? Can you guys make me a new movie where I'm not 400 pounds? You know what I mean? But well, there you go. What else we got on the burner? We got anything? You're gonna watch Altered Carbon season 2? I don't know if I am.
I haven't watched Altered Carbon season 1, so I'll probably pass.
That was, I think, the original. I read the book. We read the book. That was the first one. I think it was the only one I actually wrote out. Written out. I wrote it out.
Oh, wow.
I wrote out all the differences, and it was a bitch.
Oh, really? So
I was like, you know what? I think we're just going to have to talk through these.
Yeah.
Because it was just, it was rough. You know what I mean?
So was that based on, like, a sci-fi novel or something?
Yeah, there's like a series of novels called Altered Carbon.
Interesting.
And, basically, whatever. It's
much easier to talk than write.
Oh my God. You know, no one who has time to write and who has time to read, apparently.
Yeah,
so,
apparently.
You know what I mean? So we've pivoted, damn it. You know what I mean? Got to pivot.
Got to change with the times, man. What are the kids doing? They've got Magic 8-Ball apps. They're going to party.
8-Ball apps. They're listening to 90-minute podcasts about complaining about birds of prey, and you know, it goes on and on. You know what I mean? Sticking with the trends.
Yeah, man. We're going to be doing our Tide Pod eating contest next week.
No, exactly. If you guys want us to read anything in ASMR, just leave your comments below. Ash will read them in ASMR format for you. Whatever it is, just write it, you know, and say, please read this in ASMR format. Ash will read it for you. And, well, there we go.
Do you think we should start doing our podcast in ASMR? Like,
it'll just take longer.
I really hate this movie. It really, really sucked. Guys, it really just destroyed my soul.
We should do like 3-minute long ASMR movie reviews.
Yes.
Like, Birds of Prey really sucked, you guys. It's really bad. Don't go see that movie. Did you go to the DC Defenders XFL game? How was it?
Somehow I didn't make it out, and somehow I didn't catch any of the games recently.
Jesus.
Yeah, how are the Wildcats doing?
Well, they beat the shit out of the DC Defenders today, apparently, like 50-6 or something.
Oh my god!
So, I mean, Nick's power rankings are up in a frigging shambles now. He had as he had correctly had our glorious DC Defenders ranked number 1 in the league.
Oh man!
And then they come out and shit the bed.
Well, it's almost like that other shitty DC football team. Is Washington just cursed to like never have a good football? Is it something to do? Is the like Redskins curse so bad that it like bleeds over into this other league or something?
Yeah, probably. But so they lost out here in LA. We didn't go. We didn't go to the game, but it was out in LA. It was at what is it? To StubHub Center. It's where the Chargers play. They play on a soccer field, ladies and gentlemen. They play on a field that is home to 20,000 people, which it sounds like a lot of people, but when you're watching like an NFL football game, like that's nothing.
Yeah.
So what they do is they gouge the shit out of you on parking. So like to park within like 3 miles of the place is like, I think it's $60. $80?
Oh my god.
Yeah, because if you wanted VIP, it was 100.
What?
Like just to park at the place you're trying to, and you still had to walk a mile
at least.
I mean, it was insane. So we're like, you know what? Like I did my one Chargers game.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, dude, I want to go to an NFL football game at this tiny little field. It'd be awesome, man. You're like right on top of the action. And then you go, and they're like, well, we got to gouge the shit on everyone because we don't have 60,000 people here like every other team in the league. So, yeah, it's $80 to park.
So that's like, what is that? Is that twice? Like, is that the price of a ticket itself?
No. That's aside from the price of tickets.
No. But like, are the tickets like themselves? Like, does the parking cost as much as the ticket or more?
No, because the team sucks. So like, they can't sell.
How much were our tickets?
They weren't that the parking was more than the tickets.
I mean, that's ridiculous. The fact that
So like we'd bought them and paid service charges, so we're like, well, fuck. Now what do we do?
Right. So you're kind of stuck. So we were like, well, it's not like we bought $15 tickets and we were like, well, you win some, you lose some. It's like, no, like you're in for a penny.
Thought about not going.
No, we were right on that borderline of like, because we bought the tickets and then we were like, wait, how much is parking?
Yeah. Shit, we might as well walk. Like, well, it must be worth it.
Yeah, I mean, what do we do? I mean, we should have like found a shopping center and Ubered or something.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
But, like, ugh, God.
Or I would totally be the guy that like finds the abandoned lot nearby and charges people like $20, you know, for.
We saw plenty of those.
Saw it happen. You know what I mean? But Mr. Andrew Volpe, he's committed. He's gonna be at that next one. He'll be out at Audi Field. I'll have to check the home schedule for the Defenders, but Mr. Andrew Volpe, he'll be out there.
I'll be out there. And, I'll be the guy streaking on the field. Look out for me. They'll be chasing me. They'll have the little nets and all that stuff. Like,
we're gonna get you out there. I swear
my
to
God.
God, if I have to launch you into the fucking stadium with a fucking
dude,
catapult, I'm gonna get you into a game.
Such good guerrilla marketing. You know,
Just get you in there,
yeah,
bro.
just gotta
Man
have
on the street, like
disorderlies
vlog it, you know.
somewhere on my ass as I move the crowd.
I would love to see. I'm gonna see if I can get Nick to come down. If his team, he is cheering for the St. Louis Battlehawks for some reason. I don't know why.
What?
He's cheering for the St. Louis team. I don't understand.
What is?
But he loves the St. Louis.
Is what my question.
I don't know. I don't know what it is, but he loves them. Okay, so he's rooting for the Battlehawks. I would love for you two to get together, do some action, do some co-podcasting, do a live podcast, do some man on the scene. You know what I mean? Get down there, talk about foosball. You both love it.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? But anyway, you know, we'll discuss. I don't want to show our entire hand here.
Yes, this is going to be our next podcast. We're going to start expanding.
Just want to tease it. You know what I mean? Yeah, just a little tease. But you know, I mean, do we?
I'll find a way to wander into the locker room and ask like totally meandering questions to all the players.
No, we'll get your press passes in there. The name carries some clout, especially back home in DC.
Yeah, of course. People know of me far and wide.
We're part of the Associated Press, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, keep an eye out for that, you guys. Nick's doing a lot of good XFL content. You know, we're not in the. It's not the dead period of the summer, but we might as well be. You know what I mean? There's no real football going on. There's XFL. It's been embraced by the world. You know what I mean? But or at least Nick. You know what I mean? So Nick's doing his damn thing. He's doing some great stuff. He's doing weekly power rankings and he's cheering on his team. He's doing some podcasting for his team. I'm sure that my glorious DC Defenders probably aren't going to hold down that number one spot after the shellacking that they just took. At the hands of the Battle Cats. I didn't even watch it.
Call them the Shellackers.
Too late to change the name, I bet. But we'll see if it's trademarked and maybe we can launch our own damn league. You know,
or just make them the Wildcats too. I'm still a proponent of just making all the teams in the XFL the Wildcats.
I mean, I certainly wouldn't put it past it. It's certainly easier to do it for licensing purposes. But anyway, we appreciate you guys listening. Thank you guys so much. Check us out on thedisorderly.com if you want to subscribe, if you want to like, you want to share, leave a comment, anything you want. Write it down. Ash will read it in ASMR format as long as it's, safe for work, I'd say. You know what I mean? She has a very, very high-level executive position at a very, very prestigious company, so she cannot afford to be saying foul things on the internet. So.
Us, on the other hand, we can say whatever.
Oh, no. Yeah.
The fouler, the better.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're scum. So we're fine. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Have a good night, guys.
Bye.
Don't watch the show. Fuck the show. Good night.